moment kind of get lifted because everyone saw what looked to be pretty severe injury. I think the most interesting thing was like Tyreek's response to the whole situation. You know, you as an athlete know, like, oh my gosh, this is something I've never experienced before. And in the midst of that, and I can't imagine his emotions, he handled himself really well leaving the field. And I can't imagine how difficult that was. And then my thought was in the game, oh, how does the team respond? Like, how do the teammates respond? Sometimes that could just completely distract you from one of the reasons you're there is to play a game. And I was also very impressed with the Dolphins as a team for the way that they were able to compartmentalize, play the game, and try to, at least in that moment, move forward.
Yeah, they got their first win of the season and did a nice job. Marcus, we know Tyreek's impact, but when you think about it from the defensive standpoint, how much easier is it to take on that offense if he's not on the field?
Yeah, they lose a lot. I mean, in your week of preparation, he is the guy that you're pointing to saying we can't allow Tyreek Hill to wreck this football game. And you try to come up with plans and schemes to keep him intact. Now, a lot of people have tried it and they still got
right
knocked out by Tyreek. But I think a lot of it just is an adjustment, especially with Tua, right?
Mm-hmm.
You make easy throws to Tyreek and you get explosive plays. Yeah. And you push the ball down the field and he creates a way to take the top off of a defense to open up other areas of the football field. So you miss a lot. Just by him being on the field beyond his playmaking. The one thing I did like was Darren Waller got involved last night. Yeah. And I think he can become a guy.
It's actually going to look like a lot similar to what we saw last night. It's all about misdirection, getting the defense flowing one way, going horizontally in the other direction. Tua was 7 for 7 on crossers. They clearly identified that against the Jets man coverage being a weakness. But 6 of those throws were not to Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington, Darren Waller, all 3 of those guys have pull-away speed. And
I think a big part of this is Jalen Waddle ready to take that big step forward? He's kind of been that 1B benefactor, Tyreek getting so much attention. Can he emerge as a guy? Waller's a big piece. Those 2 young backs in Achane and Ollie Gordon are big. I just think, to Mina's point, last night, we saw a style that was different in their offense. Tua was under center, 17 snaps last night. That's very different for this football team.
Within this offensive staff, now to dig a little deeper into their concepts and the things that they want to do to try to create what this misdirection you're talking about.
I know it is. Yeah. That's not
the injury does that.
Absolutely. And that was something that every person that we talked with, Mike McDaniel, Tua, they all said, we can't live in the shotgun, throw it versus 2 high shell anymore. You know, we have to make the run game part of our offense. We have to try to – Mike McDaniel's saying was, I can't allow defenses to play it safe and win. Play that shell. And so I think there was the philosophy of running the football more even before this injury and allowing their offensive line to fire off the football. It was a good start to that last night.
Let's hear from Tyreek Hill, new on NFL Live. He shouted out his supporters before heading into surgery today. Take a listen.
All right, guys. Tyreek Hill here, the cheetah, about to go in for this surgery. Keep your boy in your prayers. You guys have been awesome, man. Fans Nation, just the whole entire NFL have been amazing. You know, sending me lots of love, lots of prayers, and I'm absolutely honored, man. You know, granted the situation, but I love you guys so much, and hope to see you soon.
Dan, you said it. The way he's handled all of this has been commendable. All right, let's show you what happened in the game. Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins taking on Justin Fields and the Jets on Monday Night Football. This, of course, Dan on the call for this game. We're going to pick it up in the third quarter. Dolphins up 10-3 at this point. Tua finding Darren Waller. You talked about getting him involved.
Yeah, this is one of those under center bootlegs, kind of a wrinkle that we hadn't seen in a long time. Man coverage, a little bit of a pick, and Waller opens up. This is one of the plays of the NFL season. I don't care if the Jets lost. This play was absolutely incredible. I don't think there's more than 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the NFL that make this play 4th and 1. It's a broken play. There's nothing there but that, and Justin turns it into a touchdown.
Jets trailing 17-10. Next Dolphins possession. Tua here getting the running back involved. Devon Achane, who takes it in. Dolphins now leading by 2 scores at home. Now under 2 to play. Dolphins at this point lead 27-13. Fields looking for Garrett Wilson, and he makes the catch right here. It's a nice one.
One of the catches of the year. They had run all-out pressure, man coverage the snap before. He did not throw it to Garrett Wilson. This time he does on a little bit of double move. The concentration, that's a ridiculous catch.
Jets attempting an onside kick after the touchdown. The Dolphins recover. Dolphins win 27-21. A really exciting game, too. Dolphins entered last night as one of 10 teams since 1933 to start a season 0-3 without forcing a turnover. The 2025 Jets were also on that list, but after having a -5 turnover differential in their first 3 games, Miami forced 3 Jets turnovers and didn't give the ball away themselves in the victory. All right, it was a doubleheader on Monday night. We also had the Bengals taking on the Broncos. Bo Nix getting ready to go. Monday Night Football, we're going to pick it up. 22 seconds left in the first quarter. Broncos trail 3-0. Denver, a 3rd and 5 from the Bengals 6, and Nix takes it in himself easily for the touchdown. Broncos lead 7-3 at the end of the first quarter. Early second quarter now, Bengals backed up 3rd and 20 after a couple penalties. Jake Browning finds Jamar Chase, but he only gets 10 yards, well short of a first down. Just the penalties and the sloppiness for the Bengals, incredibly frustrating for everyone throughout the night. Just under 9 minutes to go in the half. Same score. Broncos in the red zone. Marvin Mims on the jet sweep takes it in for the touchdown.
A really nice block by Cortland Sutton on the perimeter there. This is Bo Nix. Like right before the half, 3rd down, really nice release by Sutton, and he just pins it on his frame to go up and make that throw-in catch. That was a big play for Bo Nix in that offense.
Broncos lead 21-3 at the half. 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter now. Browning sacked by Nick Bonito. They were having their way with Browning. You see Jamar Chase trying to talk to Bengals head coach Zach Taylor. Chase had a really good attitude, even though we're not seeing some of those clips here on the sideline, despite how frustrating everything was. There's Nix finding R.J. Harvey, walks it into the end zone for the touchdown. Broncos get a big win, 28-3. Now, the Bengals blitz Bo Nix on 9 dropbacks last night. Denver did a great job picking it up as he faced only 1 pressure. On those 9 blitzes, Nix went 7 for 9 for 101 yards with all 7 completions going for first downs. He averaged more than 14 yards per completion on those throws. I caught up with running back J.K. Dobbins after the win and asked him about his quarterback. What can you say about the way that this offense functioned tonight, specifically with quarterback Bo Nix?
He played a very good game. We're going to keep building on it. And I know, he's had some games where he's like wondering, but it's always going to come. He's got to keep chipping away. And that's what he did. And I'm happy to see him do that tonight.
You are the first 100-yard rusher for the Broncos in the Sean Payton era. What does that mean to you?
That means a lot. That means a lot to me. I'm going to keep working hard. Hopefully I can go like 150 or 200 one of these days. I couldn't do it without my teammates, though, so I'm so blessed to be here, and I love it here.
What a
He's great.
I don't know he's that funny.
He's awesome. He also said in that interview that Sean Payton is his favorite coach. So, and I see why. They're very close. All right, Mina, do you like what you saw from the Broncos offense last night?
Well, I really liked what I saw from the guy we just watched, J.K. Dobbins, and that run game, which is so important for Denver, because coming into this, they had not been running the football well, and there was the expectation this offseason, you have this incredible offensive line that was one of the best run-blocking offensive lines in football last year. They changed up the running back room to Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, and it would take off, and it just hasn't. But in this game, he had a 69% success rate on the ground, 0 run stuffs. Obviously, some of that had to do with the level of competition. But it's so important, Dan, because of the nature of the passing offense as well. This is a passing offense that is built on Bo Nix booting out from under center, right? It's boots and nakeds. They cut the field in half. Defenses have started to play that super aggressively. I'm sure you've noticed these defensive linemen peeling out on Nix. They have to be able to punish them for it on the ground. And so to see them do that is really good. It's going to really help the passing offense as well. And that, to me, is the vision going forward. This is based on the run game and Bo Nix building off of that.
Yeah, the good stuff last night was that run game. The good stuff was Bo Nix. His feet looked a lot more calm than it had for a couple times, or at least early in games this season. I thought the 4x1 stuff that they got to last night was really good, and the different things they did out of it. Sometimes these teams run 4x1 and they're running the same play over and over and over again. You saw a gap scheme. You saw a little bit of a keeper for their offense. You saw RPO. So I liked some of their 4x1 stuff. I really did. That being said, I also didn't love the pass protection. I thought that the pass protection against the pass rush that's not very good was a little too leaky. It was leaky in week 3. It was leaky again in week 4. I think that's something just to pay attention to moving forward. That offensive line, I think, is better in pass protection than it has played in the last 2 weeks. That's got to be solidified a little bit. Quarterback and his feet, calmness have to help it. They got to go together. But I there was more pressure than I had anticipated in that game.
Yeah, not that this is related, but there were a ton of penalties on both sides. There were a bunch of penalties on the Broncos.
I heard.
Like, woo, what a game. What a night.
Y'all heard about them?
Yeah, we definitely did. Marcus, we did show you the Nick Benito sack.
Yeah.
What stood out to you about the other side of the ball for the Broncos?
Just the way they're able to generate pressure. And listen, man, I know we've said it and we've talked about this guy. No, Patrick Surtain is out of his mind covering people, dude. Like, and again, you want to get Jamar Chase the ball as much as possible, but they figured that if we can take care of one, we can get pressure on this quarterback and make Jake Browning uncomfortable. Now, this goes into multiple conversations that I've had with Dan and MK about the Cincinnati Bengals. I've been asking, like, they give themselves no chance the way that they play football now, especially against a team like this that can create pressure, runs those games up front. And the pressure that is put on the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals is unfair.
Yeah.
It's unfair to ask them time and time again to try to not only sort where these things are happening as a defensive line. It's not only too much pressure for pressure that defenses create, and they know that they are either trying to push the ball downfield to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. How can we get those guys taken out of the game and we can tear the quarterback out the frame? And that is the issue for Cincinnati right now. This is a Zach Taylor problem to me. It's not so much about this football team.
You mentioned Surtain. I just want to take a minute to shout out Riley Moss, his partner at quarterback, because their entire game plan was let's just throw fades at T. Higgins and see if he comes down with any of them against Riley Moss.
Early.
And I thought he held his own in this one. I mean, T's got like four inches of height on him, and he gets targeted a lot. That's the misfortune of playing opposite Patrick Surtain. But I feel like he is getting healthy. That was an issue at the end of last year, and I thought this was a tremendous performance from the cornerback too.
Man, shut him down. There's no other way to.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would like something more than, hey, let's just throw 7 deep balls on 32.
Right.
I'd like a little bit more creativity in there, but
let's keep an eye on it. Again, Joe Burrow's out for 3 months. And a lot of it has had to do with the defense, okay? In the last 50 seasons, there have been 2 defenses to start a season with 4 straight games forcing at least 3 turnovers, including 2 interceptions. One is this year's Jaguars. The other is the 1996 Packers, who did it in 6 straight games to start their Super Bowl winning season. Dan, why has Jacksonville defense been so successful so far this season?
outside of those turnovers, I think 3 things. Number 1, Jordan Lewis. His addition to their defense and playing the nickel has been a big deal. His understanding of run concepts, how he can get skinny or underneath blocks and make tackles, been a big deal. Number 2, they got heavy-handed defensive ends. Josh Hines, Allens, and Travon Walker. Those dudes set the edge. You're not getting the ball to the perimeter much in their run game. They are sticking that hand out and keeping their outside arm free. And then gap integrity. This is called the pirate stunt with that defensive line. But then somebody's got to keep the ball inside, and those backers got to fit it the right way with that inside shoulder and a scrape over the top. I know that the turnovers maybe not as roller coaster ridey. You're not going to get that many to bank on, but I do think that there's been an improvement with how they're playing the fundamentals of their defense, and they fly around and hit you.
Roller coaster ridey. I like that one.
Roller coaster ride.
It's good. Let's go to Kansas City.
Ride.
Their next opponent.
Thank you.
To the Chiefs offense. They got a much-needed boost with the return of Xavier Worthy this past week. Here's Patrick Mahomes on just how much it meant to their offense.
Yeah, he's just so explosive. I mean, you just see it when you get the football in his hands, man. It just makes the defenses have to adjust, and when they adjust, it's like he gets so much attention on him. Other guys can make plays happen, and so just having him out there, not only for his physical ability, but just the morale of the room, I thought it was huge.
Marcus, what stood out to you most in his return?
Touches for Xavier Worthy and how explosive he was, no matter how you wanted to get him the ball. I think he's evolving as a route runner as well. That was one of the things coming out of college, creating some separation, learning how to use all of the leverage that he's starting to create. He was phenomenal in this football game. He showed a repertoire of things that he can do. in order to make this offense better. And here it is with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to get Rasheed Rice back healthy. Xavier Worthy, Marquise is out there now. And now this team is starting to look very familiar. Also, changing some things conceptually. I got to give D.O. credit, as much as I hate it, for talking about what they needed to do offensively. But you saw them get to some of that, having that speed demon back out there on the football field.
I like that the fist bump happened in his shot, but then we went to yours. And
good job, man.
And I had to look.
Yeah. It was like, wait. Put them together.
There's a difference in the fist size.
Where is it? Okay. There we go. All right. Sorry, Tim. We're killing our director.
All
right. The Falcons came alive with some big plays in their 34-27 win over the Commanders. Michael Penix Jr. averaged 12 yards per pass attempt on Sunday, the highest mark by a quarterback with at least 20 attempts in a game this season. It's actually the third highest by a Falcons QB in a game going back to 2000, trailing 2 Matt Ryan performances in 2016. Ryan won MVP and took Atlanta to the Super Bowl that season. Mina, what was the biggest difference in this Falcons offense on Sunday?
I mean, there were a couple great performances, obviously Bijan, Calpis, but this was the Drake London breakout game we've been waiting for this season. True 3-level threat. Couple things stood out to me. One, how much he was aligned in the slot. I think that's where he's at his best. 6 of his 10 targets were from the slot, and you saw him continuously win there. And then finally, they used him on some in-breakers. I have been complaining constantly on how much this offense is dependent on outbreakers, but they had Drake London run the in-cut on the dagger concept. He's so good at those routes, and then a slant aligned wide. More of that, more of Drake London in the slot, more of throwing over the middle of the field, please.
I think you tweeted about this, didn't you? Did
everyone in
tweet?
Atlanta hates me.
Well, yeah.
But no, I agree. Like Drake's been in the slot for like 2 years now. That's where he's been his best. I thought Bijan was insane as well. Bijan had 3 or 4. He was great blocking. You know, Drake London's willingness to be a blocker.
Oh, this is so true.
Yeah, was outstanding. I also
Really
think
good.
just like Bijan's ability to break tackles, man. Like, it's not like Bijan breaks a tackle and it goes for 2 or 3 more yards. There were multiple times where he broke an arm tackle and went for like 15 or 20. They were explosive. They were very explosive on Sunday. I don't think Washington's defense was great, but that was a really good performance by that offense.
All right, we'll see if they can keep it up. Still to come. Hey, a bad season got worse over the weekend when Lamar Jackson was forced to miss the end of Sunday's loss to the Chiefs with an injured hamstring. John Harbaugh given an update yesterday saying the injury precluded Jackson to return to the game, and it didn't matter that the game wasn't close. Quote, there was no way he could have gone back in that game. We should get our first real update on all of this tomorrow when the Ravens return to practice. We'll let you know what the timetable looks like, of course, here on NFL Live. Marcus, even though before the injury, the Ravens were struggling, what do you see as the biggest issue for Baltimore?
I don't know what Todd Monken is doing. I really don't. There is a tremendous amount of evidence that if you let Derrick Henry dictate games, this offense works better.
Yeah.
And him and Lamar dictating games with whether it's sleight of hand or whatever. Look at this on the season. 48 carries, 49 carries, tied for 24th. He's 8th in rush yards on those limited carries. He's tied for 6th with touchdowns and 20-yard rushes, 4, tied for 1st. And we left a game against the Kansas City Chiefs with 8 total carries in a game for Derrick Henry. Now, this has been a part before Derrick Henry showed up. Y'all know I almost lost my damn mind about the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the number of runs that the backs had as the number 1 rushing team in the league that season. So again, go ahead.
Do you think or expect it to be different once Likely's back consistently and Ricard comes back?
But Dan, I understand that, and I agree with you on that. But what's your best formula right now? You have to play for what's going on.
Right.
You got 7 people injured on defense, and you consistently want to push the ball down the field.
And you're not winning.
And you're not winning doing that. So again, I understand the draw to want Lamar to make plays and push the ball down the field. You did not sign this man to be tied for 24th in carries 5 weeks into the season. And if his career wasn't made on volume, we wouldn't have this argument. He gets better the more touches he has. That's been the case since he showed up to Baltimore and when he was in Tennessee.
So I think, not that I don't disagree that they shouldn't be running more. I think part of the issue is they're not running it well. They're not efficient at all. And I've been kind of trying to figure out why, Marcus, and some of the reasons for that. And there's a litany of it. I don't think they're blocking quite the way that they used to. I think the Ricard absence is huge. The more I went back and watched some of those runs, and it not only is it big in the run game, but I also think it's affecting their passing game, not as a pass catcher, but going back last year when they had Ricard on the field, so when they were in 20, 21, 22 personnel, two backs, they had a 69% play action rate. If you're looking at this offense now and you're wondering why aren't they play actioning as much as they used to, and this was the case in the Chiefs game even before it got out of hand, I really think they usually get to a lot of their play action concepts with Ricard on the field. And it seems like removing him from this formula has sort of gotten them all out of sorts with their personnel groupings and their tendencies out of it. And I say that not to say that it's not fixable. It is. It just feels like they have to alter their offense now and accept that they live in a new reality without having two running backs on the field the way they did the last few years.
Yeah, man. By the way, Ricard, they're still kind of saying week to week. There's no clear timetable on his return. Dan, on the other side of the ball, there's lots of concerns for the Ravens defense. The injuries are a major piece of this, but what does the tape show you?
This is probably the most head-scratching team through 4 weeks in the NFL on both sides. And I would say defensively, the amount of blown coverages or people out of position is just jarring. You're playing man coverage up top. They run 2x2 RPO in Kansas City. Everyone kind of knows that's the case. Both linebackers fire. There's nowhere anyone remotely close to that slant. This is the one that blew my mind. Down in the red zone, they're in man coverage. No one's even remotely close to covering the back. Both linebackers are just standing in the middle of the field. That's a completely blown coverage on third down, but it's man. This is on Thornton, speed guy at the number 3 down the seam. There's a linebacker. Either you carry him or Kyle Hamilton, who has no one pushing vertical at the bottom of the screen, knows he has to close significantly sooner. And for a team that is, in many ways, like so experienced, so veteran laden, the amount of times that I say blown coverage or out of position or poor communication or late to your responsibility, that's why it's so head scratching that this group that is as talented and as experienced and as kind of the reality of expectation to consistently beat yourself is very odd to see from that organization.
The Ravens now have a 47% chance to win the AFC North, according to ESPN Analytics. It was a 67% chance after week 2, but the analytics take into consideration some of the things that are going on here and the way they've looked. All right, let's get to some top stories here as we carry on. Tyreek Hill tore ligaments in his dislocated knee during last night's win over the Jets. Our Adam Schefter spoke to his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, who said today's surgery went well. So what's next? Rosenhaus said it's about rehab and he will play next season. The realistic goal is the start of the season. It's interesting. Wow. All right, J.J. McCarthy could return to practice for the Vikings early as early as this week. That, according to head coach Kevin O'Connell today. McCarthy, of course, suffered a high ankle sprain in the team's week 2 loss to the Falcons. The Vikings play the Browns in London this week before a bye in week 6.
Their offensive line better get healthy because the interior part of that group is poor.
Goodness. Hey, to San Francisco next. Brock Purdy missed practice on Monday. GM John Lynch was on the radio today, said they will take every precaution to make sure Purdy is all right. Neither Purdy or Ricky Pearsall practiced today as the team gets ready to play in L.A. against the Rams on Thursday night. That's all of the latest. There's my camera. Hello. All the news at the start comes to an end after losing to the Jags on Sunday. Mina, what went wrong for San Francisco?
Well, Brock Purdy turning over the ball is a big part of this, but I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. We wanted to see how this pass rush looked without Nick Bosa. Not great so far. Unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence was rarely pressured in this one. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. The only Niners pass rusher who had more than one pressure was Bryce Huff. None of the defensive tackles registered pressure. This is going to be a problem for them moving forward. The Jags' offensive line is much improved, but it is not that much improved to the point where none of the Niners pass rushers can make any difference at all.
Let's go to Tennessee, where the Titans were shut out on Sunday by the Texans. And after the game, quarterback Cam Ward had a very blunt assessment on their 0-4 start. Take a listen.
I mean, we keeping the buck right now. We ass. So we 0-4. We have, at this point, we got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything.
I love him. Marcus, what are you thinking hearing that from Cam Ward?
First step to recovery is that mean you have a problem. And Cam Ward is right. This offensive line, I thought, with Bill Callahan coming over, was going to be better. He's been hit more than anybody in this league. Some of that is just trying to extend plays and find people downfield. And then, too, like in the preseason, y'all remember him and Calvin really looked like it was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
He can't get anything going offensively. He's not being protected well, and the run game is not effective at all. It's a bad recipe for a rookie quarterback. And in Cam's mind, just like you talked about in his evaluation out of college, Dio, he wants to make plays.
Yeah.
So it's going to be extended when he's trying to find somebody downfield. I think this offense right now, identity-wise, is in crisis.
Ooh. All right. Hey, let's go to Las Vegas, where the Raiders lose 25-24 to the Bears after Josh Blackwell blocks a 54-yard field goal attempt by Daniel Carlson. Dan, Blackwell had gotten some intel from his teammate, long snapper Scott Daly, on a tendency that he spotted. You spent some time watching that Raiders field goal unit. What went wrong on that play?
Yeah, I think that there were some tells on the timing of the snap. These are all the extra points and field goals throughout the game. You see the flash of the hand from the holder, ball gets snapped. Flash of the hand from the holder, ball gets snapped. This is every kick that the Raiders had lined up to against. Flash of the hand, ball gets snapped. And so I think that the Chicago Bears special teams unit just started to get tells on the timing of the snap and when it was going to actually happen. They almost get it there. And then to end the ball game, flash of the hand, ball gets snapped. They get a beautiful jump, outstanding effort, and it really obviously wins the football game for them. I think that's a shout out to the Chicago Bears special teams unit. Just if that was the tell, that they timed it absolutely perfectly as the game went on.
Smart of the long snapper there, too, to call it out. All right, let's go to Tampa, where the Bucs' perfect season has come to an end after losing 31-25 to the defending champions Sunday. The Bucs have been slow starters this season, ranking 28th in the NFL in yards per game in the first half this season, but they've woken up at halftime, ranking in the top 3 in the league in both yards gained and yards allowed in the second half. Tampa's going to fly cross country to Seattle for Week 5. Marcus, you see the numbers there. Why do you think the slow starts have been an issue for the Bucs?
I'm not sure. I mean, you look at the run game early in games. Buck Air didn't get going. Really, in the pass game is where he was dominant in this last game against Philly, finding those matchups. If it's not going to be the run game, find those matchups earlier. This team has had to be the cardiac kids for the 4 games that they played and almost worked themselves back into an opportunity again to have a chance to win the football game. But they have to figure out a formula to get Bucky. Look, Egbuka on the scene, obviously Mike being out with the hamstring. Bucky Irvin is the key driver to what you do from an offensive standpoint as far as touches and trying to get him to be dominant. Do it a little bit early. If that is the passing game, let's find ways to get him out in space so he can create. The dude is a phenomenal football player, and he can impact the game beyond being in the backfield. So do it earlier.
Yeah, they can't run the ball the way they did last year. They were 5th in rushing success rate last year, 23rd this year. And watching back some of those failed runs, it's the offensive line. This is, to me, is where the injuries are showing up, right? Luke Goedeke, their right tackle, I hope I said his name right, has been out. Tristan Wirfs came back from injury. Cody Mauch has been out. And they're still trying to run the same stuff. It's a lot of counter. But when you go back and you watch them against these Eagles, especially the 6-1 fronts that they run, they're just not displacing any bodies on those gap runs. And Bucky's having to bounce runs. And everything starts with that run game for them. So for me, this is really just about the offensive line getting healthy to resume that. It's not a schematic thing. It's not about the backs. I think once their offensive line is healthier, they can get back to running the ball the way they did last season.
Yeah, I would say in this game particularly, they were just a bad matchup against Philly because they were down their receivers. Because everyone knows the weakness in Philly's defense is trying to get to really corner 3, right? Yep. But that means you got to play in like 11 personnel, and you got to have those 3 wide receivers on the field. With some of the injuries, you're only in really 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. And so then you're really only seeing Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell at the corner position. So I think that's one of the things that stands out about the game is like you're trying to find that matchup to that cornerback 3, but Mitchell and DeJean are on your wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. Yeah. I think that's also something to pay attention to moving forward with Philly's defense is I want to get them in nickel, at least with that outside corner not being DeJean. But I also don't want to live in 11 personnel versus their defense. I think that's kind of if they had their full house of wide receivers, I think they would have had the more matchup success.
They exploited a little bit.
Yeah, they just didn't match up because of the injuries well against those 2 corners. I think you can make the case that those two corners, at least from an offensive perspective, I think they're playing as good as any corners in the NFL. Both of them.
Yeah, they're stacked.